going to talk about adapting to different places. The objectives of this lesson are that you will attend to the lesson, you'll answer the assessment questions throughout the lesson, that you'll learn the definition for adapt, bison, and economy, that you'll be able to identify a totem pole, and that you'll be able to explain how people at the Great Lakes used water, animal hides, trees, and plants. No one knows how many people lived in North America 600 years ago. There may have been 10 or 15 million, or even more. People lived in camps, villages, and towns all across the continent. Many of them traveled long distances to hunt, trade, and make war. The land they lived in shaped the way they lived. In turn, they shaped the land. The Native Americans of North America. There were hundreds of Native American groups in North America. Native peoples differed because the places in which they lived were different. Each group invented tools and developed skills suitable to the land around them. They learned to adapt or change to survive in the conditions they faced. For example, the Powhatans lived in what is now Virginia. Streams and rivers run through the woods there. To travel by water, the Powhatans learned to build canoes using large trees. They made sharp tools for carving out canoes from animal bones and stones. They depended on rivers for food, too, and made traps, nets, and other tools to catch fish. What did the Powhatans build to travel across water? Was it a canoe or an inflatable tube? Touch the picture with the correct answer. If you touched the canoe, you're right. While each Native American group was different, people in the same areas often shared ways of doing things. Experts call these culture areas. Within each culture area, people lived under similar conditions. For this reason, people from the same culture areas often had similar cultures. For example, Native Americans from the Great Plains lived on the grasslands that cover the middle part of North America. Many of them depended on the bison or buffalo to meet their needs. The bison was a large animal that once roamed the plains by the millions. Native American economies. The bison was key to the economy of many plains people, such as the Cheyennes and Lakota. An economy is the system by which a group makes, shares, and uses goods. While some people farmed on the plains, life for many Native Americans there depended on bison. The animal supplied food, fuel, clothing, and coverings for teepees. People moved often, following bison herds across the plains. Native Americans on the northern woodlands, such as the Iroquois, often combined farming with hunting and gathering. Their housing styles vary. Two examples are longhouses and wigwams that were made from small trees, animal skins, and bark. What is one thing the Native Americans used bison for? Was it the outside of their teepees or a hat? Touch the picture with the correct answer. If you said make the outside of their teepees, you're right. In the Pacific Northwest, peoples such as the Makah and Nootka depended on the sea. They were experts at catching fish, whales, and seals. These animals provided food, tools, and clothing. Everything the people in this area needed was nearby. As a result, they often lived in settled villages for at least part of the year. Using wood from the forest, they built sturdy wooden houses. They also used wood to carve impressive totem poles that displayed symbols of the natural world. Hunting and gathering were central to many groups living in the Southwest near what is now California and Nevada. such as the Kauai. Often, food was hard to find. Some groups traveled long distances to search for wild plants and animals. During the winters, they built homes partially underground. When they traveled, they often built simple shelters made of brush. That way, they could move quickly from one temporary home to another. The southwest area that is now Arizona and New Mexico is a dry land. Its resources, including water and trees, are often scarce. The Pueblo people of this area grew much of their food, including squash, corn, and beans. They also grew cotton and to make clothes. Farming was also the main activity for the Cherokees and other groups in the southeast. Native farmers planted corn, beans, and squash. After picking their foods, they dried and burned the remaining stalks and leaves. This added nutrients to the soil. People in the area were also expert hunters. They ate the meat of the animals they caught and made tools from the bones. Trade was another way Native Americans got the goods they needed and wanted. People from one area often traveled long distances to trade with Native Americans in other areas. Native Americans changed the land. Native Americans were skilled at using what the land gave them. They made and used tools to help them hunt and gather food or to make farming easier. They also found ways to change the land so that it could better supply the things they needed. The Pueblo people had limited water available to them and used it carefully. They dug irrigation canals to bring water to their crops. Their use of irrigation shows that the Pueblos did not just adapt to the land, they actually changed it for their needs. Another way Native Americans changed the land was by setting fires in the forests or grasslands. The fires helped in many ways. In California, Native peoples burned shrubs to help grow grasses that attracted deer and other animals. In the southeast, burning forest underbrush also made deer hunting easier. Other groups used fire to get rid of pests. Some experts think that the fires forever changed the types of plants that grow in many parts of North America. In Florida, the Calusa people actually made some of the land on which they lived. Mount Key, an island, is thought to have been the site of the main Calusa town. The island itself is a mound of shells collected by the Calusas. Changing ways of life. Native Americans changed not only the land, but their own ways of living. Groups that were successful farmers could stay in one place for a long period of time. They developed permanent types of homes. An example is the large longhouse built by the Iroquois in the northern woodlands. Native Americans on the plains changed the way of life dramatically too, in the 1500s. That was when they first traded with Spanish explorers and for horses. The plains people became expert at using horses for hunting and in warfare. They gave up being farmers and kept up on the move. This new means of transportation greatly changed their lives. What animal did the Native Americans trade for? Did they trade for pigs or horses? Touch the picture with the correct answer. If you touched horses, you're right.